Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Cocktail Hour. I am Meg.
And I am Nikki. If you are a wedding vendor headed to work this morning, may the odds be ever in your favor. And if you have a double or triple header, this episode is dedicated to you.
Agreed. Today we have a couple who probably should not have said yes, probably shouldn't have gotten married, and a photographer who's wondering where the love has gone for videographers.
Okay, that's fair.
And when I read this, I was like,
Yeah,
I would like to talk
I can
about
see
this.
that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Updates wise though,
I'm just laughing because how this morning has started.
you have to tell them because
For starters, I got here. Meg was trying to take a nap in her car because I'm always habitually 10 minutes late. And she gets out of the car. Obviously, I'm congested, and she's said something. And I was like, first of all, shut the fuck up.
that's how you know we're friends.
And we get into the elevator. Meg immediately starts crying. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm just really sick. I do not feel well. Like, blah, blah, blah. So then we get into the office. We sit down to record. We're just talking shit through. We're having a literal conversation like this, fully recording. And I suddenly start to gag because I'm congested. And when I get congested, my throat kind of blocks up. And Meg's like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh my God, do you have a bag or garbage?
It went from 0 to 100 real quick.
I literally start vomiting on camera, full on recording. Meg's like, let me set these cameras and give you this trash. She's turned around in the corner back to me. She's like, you're fine. It's okay. She goes, we're not recording today. Like, you're clearly really sick. Obviously, like, we're not going to do this. And then we sat for like 10 minutes and I recouped and regathered my thoughts, and here we are.
Yeah. And I'm going to be super transparent with everybody. It is Wednesday. Normally we record on Monday. I am the one. Adam's going to kill me when he hears this because I told him, I was like, Nikki and I decided not to record today when really I was the one who reached out to Nikki and was like, yo, it's not the day. Like, let's do it tomorrow. And then Tuesday, Nikki was super busy. And then today she's like literally sick. Not like
I just woke up unwell.
Yeah, woke up unwell. So she was already like, I am irritated. I feel so sick. But Meg said we have to record today. And then I'm sitting there like, if Nikki's not happy to be here, I cannot do my job. And we're both just looking at each other in the elevator like, where do we go from here?
And it's fine. Like, that's literally the true mark of friendship, is just being like, okay, bitch,
Yeah,
whatever. Like, get through it. And we're good. And so here we are. So that's definitely my low of this week, is just like waking up not feeling well. I was supposed to be going to Chicago for a weekend trip tomorrow with two of my best friends in the world and visiting. My friend lives there and she has a 5-month-old baby, and Craig literally was just like, listen, you have to be smart, like, don't be dumb and go and super spread and get a freaking baby sick if you're really not feeling well. And so I was just really disappointed too. I was telling Meg this morning, like, I was just really disappointed that I woke up not feeling any better because I hate being sick. It really irks me to my core when I can't like do the things that I want to do, and not for any other reason than literally waking up not feeling well.
Yeah. Especially when it's this off season of work. Like, we're so used to being, bless you, we are so used to being so incredibly busy 6 to 9 months out of the year.
Literally.
And then we get a couple months off, and when you get sick, you're just like, bro.
And it's like, I want to take advantage of the time off that I have left because it's not a lot. Like, we're creeping into March. March is going to fly by. Then it's going to be April. And then it's like full swing busy season where weekends are essentially dead to us. So it makes me really sad that, like, yeah, exactly, that I can't take advantage of this time during my slow season when I have a weekend open and I've had this, mini weekend trip planned for 6 months and I can't follow through with it or freaking do it. So it just irks me to my core. And on top of that, Craig's son he's a hockey player. He's 13. So he plays Bantams, and we have been, for some reason, their district playoffs for Edina are in New Prague.
How
And
far is that?
it's an hour there and an hour back, depending on traffic. Yesterday it took us a little longer because we had to be there 2 hours before the game actually started. We didn't get home till 11 o'clock. We got there at like 6:20. Yeah, the game was at 8. We ended up losing, unfortunately. But like spending, 4 hours at a freaking ice arena also is not my ideal, weekday
when you're sick.
plans, especially when you're not feeling great. But I love hockey. So I think another reason why I'm like not getting better is because I'm sitting in the stands with 20 other parents literally screaming at the top of my lungs. Like I am one of those like parents who's like screaming, like shouting at the top of my lungs, like, get the puck! What are you guys doing? Like,
hockey is one of those sports, by the way, that
terrifying.
I simply cannot watch it because I don't know if I'm just not where I should be, like, developmentally.
No,
but, like,
it's hard to understand.
I'm like, I don't even know where the puck
It's really hard to follow. I did not grow up watching hockey, but my ex-husband came from a huge hockey family. So literally the only reason I got into hockey was because of that man and his family. Like no other reason other than that. I had no idea of anything before, and now I'm obsessed with it.
Okay.
And Craig is like, thank God I'm dating you because he doesn't know anything about hockey. He grew up not knowing a thing about hockey. And he's like, of course, my son chooses to play the one sport that I like didn't play and know nothing about.
Yeah.
But he loves it. He was on locker room duty yesterday. So yeah, it's just been
I
a
always tell
time.
myself that, like, this is why I don't have kids, because I could not, like, I would not be that parent. I'd be like, no, you don't need to join hockey. But when I actually think about it, just knowing how competitive I am.
Oh my God, it's so fun. I'm so competitive. And so, like, that within me is like, you score a goal, I'm standing my ass up in the stand as if we are at a Minnesota Wild game and I'm hooting and hollering, waving my arms. You should have seen me. Like, I'm low-key, I get a little bit embarrassed of myself afterwards. And luckily, all of the other parents on Aiden's team are very, like, into the sport as well and like get into it because otherwise I think like everybody would be embarrassed at me
hate you.
and like mortified.
Yeah.
Like
I think I'd be the same though, but I do think I'd be the parent who forces the child to go into the sport that I want them to go into. Like if I had a child, it doesn't matter who they came out as, tennis player. You're a tennis player.
Interesting. You so are Hannah Burner. She is such a tennis slut.
I love tennis, and when people are like, I play tennis, can we play tennis? I go, you don't play tennis. I can't play tennis with you. Unless you played all throughout high school and possibly some of college.
Wait, I want to play tennis with you. I'm very competitive and I'm good at literally every sport that I've ever tried or played. And I'm not saying that to be cocky or say that. I'm very athletically inclined. And although I did not grow up playing tennis, I know that I can smack a ball and love 40 that shit up.
But that's the thing is people smack a ball, but they cannot smack a ball in bounds. We'll play. We'll go to Lifetime and
we will vlog a day in the life with 2 professional tennis players, aka us.
Mickey. What else though happened this week? Did you shoot it all this week?
I did. I went to a styled shoot yesterday, which was pretty at Woodhaven. Loved that. Met a podcast listener. Shout out to Sophie Jean Photography.
Hey.
Really loved that. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I listened to your podcast," and then I was, trying to plug all the other girls. I was like, hey, guys, we have a pod. Like, if you guys are, I know there's photographers here. If you're interested in a podcast, like, we love to pod. So that was fun. If you see us
in the streets and want to say
hi. Oh, my God, please. We're celebrities. Just don't be embarrassed to stop us. We're just regular people. We're just like you.
We're just like you.
Honestly, we're worse. Yeah, we're literally worse. Yeah. We're actual trash can human beings. I threw up in a trash can that didn't even have a bag in it.
Because I'm a trash can human being, I don't put bags in my trash can.
And speaking of trash cans, another thing I did this week, I was speaking about this a little bit ago. I deep cleaned my bathroom. Monday when we were supposed to record, I still ended up getting up. I spent 6 hours decluttering and organizing our bathroom. Craig got home and I still wasn't done. And he was like, so what have you been up to today? Like, how's the podcast recording? I go, I've literally been doing this all day. Like, can you fuck off? He's like, oh, I just wanted to take a shower. And I was like, I'm not done.
Yeah,
like, I don't
sorry.
care if you want to shower. Make yourself useful and take the garbage out. I didn't say
Yep.
it like that, but I easily could have, and he would have been fine.
Yeah. Do you ever get to that point, because I just did The Office yesterday as well, where you are midway through, shit is everywhere.
I have
It's
pictures of it all over the
than
floor.
it was, and you're sitting there and you're like, I fucking hate this right now.
That's
Like,
why it takes so long, though, is because
Yeah.
you do have to take like mental health breaks, and I had to take mental health break and just like stop and not do it.
Yeah.
But it was great. I feel so much better now. It's such a like empowering feeling to get that done. And the last thing that I want to share is that I tricked literally everyone in my family this week into thinking I got a bob. So everybody that I sent, we'll post and insert the pictures. I downloaded Literal Facetune to do a haircut
Yeah.
app so I could see how it looked on myself. Because it was the only place that I could find it was through that app, which reminds me I have to cancel my subscription. But I sent it to you and was like, should I do this? And sent it to friends who were like, oh my gosh, I love it. It looks so real.
Oh, it looks so good.
Sent it to Craig. Craig's like, oh my gosh, love, so cute. Sent it to my family. They're like, oh my gosh, when did you do this? And I didn't say anything. I wanted to just
like,
see their
let 'em
faces when I
think.
got home.
Yeah.
And then when I get home, Craig's like, oh, like my hair's still long. And I was like, oh, so you didn't actually fucking like it. And he goes, well, it's just like really short. Like, he's like, I love you no matter what. I think you look great no matter what. It's just like a little shorter than I expected.
Yeah.
And I'm
You're
like, so you're a
mhm.
liar,
Yeah.
is what you're telling me. He's like, no, I love you no matter what, but you love me more with long hair because I'm just an instigator. I love
Yeah.
to just push a button. But it was fine. I'm
I
like,
know
I'm
Adam
not.
misses my hair.
It's just
He'll never
hard.
admit it,
I
but
know.
I know he
They won't
does.
say it, but it's interesting. So I still think it looks cute. I
Yeah.
might have like a mental breakdown one day, like you did, and just chop all my hair off because
Yeah.
sometimes we just need to do that. And like you said, when you did your hair, it's just hair. It grows back.
Yeah.
It comes back. But do I think I would regret it after a month? Yes.
You would. But there are still moments that are nice. Like, it's so nice and
Yeah.
light. But I almost wish that I would have done it in the summer instead of the winter, so I could take advantage of that lightness. But also, I didn't want it hella short during wedding season where I couldn't
Like
put
pull it back.
Yeah. So by wedding season, I'll at least be able to put it in like a little nubbin, which is all I care about.
The length that I did mine in these pictures though was so short. It was like right under my ear or like
Yeah.
right at my like jawline.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Very
I feel
Paris.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
giving literal French chic. And like, why wouldn't I'm never gonna do it again.
Yeah.
So like I might as well try once. But it has taken me probably 8 years to grow my hair to this length.
Mine grows so fucking fast.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't have that. The hair on my eyebrows grows fast. The hair and
I
my
have
freaking everywhere
one
else.
wire black hair.
Literally.
that's
I'm
right
like,
here.
the hair on my head likes to take its sweet time. So I know that I would deeply regret it. And then I'm like, can I afford thousands of dollars worth of hair extensions? Because I will take out another credit card and Craig will kill me.
It's the extension credit card.
It's fine.
What are you
That's
gonna
actually
do?
how I ended up in debt as an 18-year-old. I opened my first credit card and spent it on hair extensions.
Mine was the Victoria's Secret counter. The
Oh,
pink.
see.
Because it was so popular to have the words pink on your ass back then on sweatpants.
I still like it.
I don't know if they even have those sweatpants anymore.
They, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but I remember them being like $40 to $60, and my parents, we lived in a trailer park, and I was like, but I need them. I need them.
These are important
These
to
are
me.
important. And they were like, do you want to sign up for a credit card? And of course I'm like,
Yeah.
of course I do. I need 18 bottles of Love Spell body spray.
Low-key still love that scent, not gonna lie.
You know what scent I love, and I don't know if they have it anymore? Remember the old school Hollister? Like,
I did not like
a little,
that.
like, old school, you had a little ball you pressed.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, I loved it. Someone stole it out of my locker once. I was and I know who they are,
Mm.
and I've never said
Name drop them.
I've
I'm
never
just
said
kidding.
it, but you know who you are.
Anyway, what's up with you?
So much like you, I had a nasty ass cold last
How
week.
long did it last?
Probably
I'm
a
trying
good
to convince myself that I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna be fresh as a daisy and be like,
Okay. I'm going to share something. This is not medical advice.
but please, I
Trigger,
need it.
not medical advice. I do this thing when I get sick, and
Okay.
it does help drastically, and Adam thinks I'm insane.
Smoke crack.
No. I don't even know where you'd find that. I got to be honest. That's how out of the loop I am. Like I would just be down on a hennepin yelling, crack, like looking for some crack. I wouldn't even know what to do with it when I got it. I gotta be honest. I'd be Googling.
I got you.
Anyways.
I've never smoked crack, by the way.
But I take hydrogen peroxide.
No. You
Okay.
don't. Okay.
I pour some on
A Q-tip?
Q-tip, and I put it up my nose.
Okay.
And I like really try to get up here, other side, and then I go and I try to just like get it up into my sinuses, right? And then I will take a shot
of hydrogen peroxide.
not drink it, but I gargle it and really try to get it down. What I'm trying to do, this might
Kill
be literal
all the
witchcraft, but I'm trying to kill the bacteria that is down here and then is up in here. I gotta be honest. Do it.
We all know what I'm doing after this.
And just
immediately
see how you
after.
feel in a couple days, if that. That's just, I'm just saying.
Really?
I'm not kidding. And Adam thinks I'm totally full of crap. And I go, honey, it works every time. Every time. And what happens, though, is he doesn't think it's working because I'm, like, phlegming and all that stuff. And I was like, that's because it's finally coming out.
Yeah.
Like, it's coming out.
I'm already phlegming anyway, so it's like I might as well just get it out. Yeah, no, literally as I'm projectile vomiting in this office.
I was concerned. But yeah, I had a nasty ass cold. I did not come here all week. I just kind of laid in bed and edited, but I got so much editing done.
I know.
Because I just sat in bed and edited. Other than that, doing my taxes, that's been a whole thing. I'm here to tell you that you don't need to buy more stuff to convince yourself you're a photographer, because that's the mindset that I get in sometimes. So this last year I picked up film photography like much more seriously, and then we started the podcast, and on top of that, like I bought the new R5 Mark II. Like that's a $5,000 camera, and I'm sitting here like I did not need 98% of the things I purchased.
But did they make you feel better?
For very minimal time. Very minimal. I'm like looking for that dopamine hit. So it's just like, as a small business owner,
just get some crack.
Yeah, it would have been cheaper than buying all of this. But it is my tip to you that be very mindful. 30% immediately needs to go into a savings account for taxes. Like, don't even look at that money. You know, try to put money in like a 401k and say, like, try to always put money aside, and then look at the money you have, pay your bills, and then I'd still try to look at whatever the sum is that you have at the end of all of that, split it in half goes to savings, and half do whatever you want to with. Like, and I understand that not everybody's in that financial situation to even do those things that I talked about. They're like, look, bitch, I'm just trying to pay my bills.
Yeah.
But I sit there and I was looking at all my transactions thinking like, okay, this is, and then yesterday alone, I went and got
Is that the bag?
Yeah.
I like her.
She's cute.
She's very cute.
Like, not too big, not too small, but.
And I like that you can take the long strap off and do a short strap. And I like Coach. I've been a Coach girl for a long time. Even though Lisa Barlow doesn't like Coach, it's okay. You don't know who that is. That's okay.
But my thing is, I don't like bags that are so obviously Coach, Louis, like whatever. I don't want to say the name all over. I was like, all I want is a simple black leather bag.
Yeah.
And I was at the Mall of America and I saw that and I was like, bet, like, give it to me.
Get her done.
Other than that, Wish went to the vet last week because she has acid reflux. They call it GERD.
Oh.
So much like you, she just goes,
don't do that. Remember?
Sorry.
I said no fake gagging.
But she just has like gas. She has acid reflux, so she does that. So we're having to give her essentially like Pepto-Bismol down her throat all the time. We had to put her on a prescription dog food. By the way, this dog food, it is $60 a week.
I believe it.
And
I know.
I was like,
We have 5
Okay.
pets and, we've gone through the freaking ringer with them. We used to have to give our cat IV fluids before he died every day. Our other cat who died had freaking diabetes. We had to give him insulin shots every day. Like that,
The
animals are
things we
not
do for our
cheap.
pets.
And I think though, let this be a PSA. If you can't, commit to taking care of your pet or commit to buying $60 worth of dog food a week, don't get a pet.
Yeah.
They can be really healthy when you get them, and suddenly things can go south.
Yeah.
Like
It's almost like a child. Like, be ready for a
it is literally a
child.
child. My mom's dog is so gross right now, Ruby. She's so sweet. You
Well,
love
yeah.
her. She's
No, I
so
love
cute.
Ruby, but
She
what's
has
wrong with Ruby?
vaginosis, and her anal glands were so full that she would sit down and she would get up, and I'd be like, oh my God,
Just
like
stinks.
stinks and
Yeah.
juicy.
The way that I know I'm going to listen to this back and be like, I should cut that, but I'm not going to cut it because
No.
that's who we are.
It's my reality right
Juicy.
now. It's a
Yeah.
juicy. Well, Craig's been calling her yeasty.
Oh my God.
Because that's essentially what she has going on. She has
Yeah.
a buildup of yeast, and she's just the poor girl. And then my dog is gross. He's been following around, sniffing her ass, not
Yeah.
leaving her alone. And I'm like, I live in a house of horrors. Like I don't know what to do about any of these things. My 14-year-old Alaskan Malamute bleeding from the face yesterday, just running around bleeding everywhere because he gets growths now in his old age.
I was like, you should elaborate because we're all confused.
One popped, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's mayhem.
Literally 2 minutes before my consult call, 2 minutes.
And
And
like,
Craig's like, what's going on up there? And I'm like, how about you come fucking help me
figure this
hold
out.
this dog so I can clean him up.
That's why we have the podcast here, by the way, and not at my house, is because this last week I
Chaos.
was thinking about it. I was like, I talked to Adam. I said, honey, we can make the guest bedroom in the basement. Like, we could do the podcast studio, so it would just be easier. And he literally is looking around at the basement with me, and he says, honey, the carpet's ripped up because when Wish was a puppy, she ripped all that shit up. She comes when she's not feeling good. She comes down to the basement to throw up. And even though you clean it up, it's never like fully. And he's like, you want to bring someone down here every week? And he's like, you want to spend time down here? Also, the house is so old that not humans, but the dogs walking upstairs, it's all wooden floors.
You can hear it.
It's like, I've called Adam once and been like, can you please like get into bed and stop walking around? Like, you're bugging me up there. And he's like, honey, I've not moved. He's like, it's the dogs. And I'm like,
or you have a ghost.
Don't even get me started.
Have you ever thought about it? You have a ghost?
Know that when sometimes I sleep down in the basement, I love Adam so much. I would die for that man. But when he snores, I might die because of that man.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll go sleep down in the basement. When I do, I check underneath the bed. I check the clock. Like, I still check things.
Me too.
I've watched too much Law and Order. I think there's people here to kill me.
My mom and I are convinced that somebody lives in our, like, in between the floors or the walls in the basement. Mind you, I sleep in the basement. In the closet is in our room where I think somebody lives in the crawl space. And I'm still convinced. No, it's literally a thing I've seen in movies. I'm still convinced that somebody lives in our walls, but I will audibly tell them, hey, as long as you're not bothering me.
Yeah, you're like, don't
I'm not
murder
bothering
me.
you.
Yeah.
If you want to, use my loofah while I'm not home, fine. Just don't kill me.
Safe space to sleep. I used to do that. Have you ever, when you were a kid, I used to do this thing where I'd be like, okay, so if I put the blanket over my head for 10 seconds, then It the Clown won't murder me.
Not It the Clown.
It was It the Clown or Chucky. Those are my two, like...
Chucky? You were scared of a doll?
Yes. But I'd be like, okay, if I stay under the blankets for 10 seconds, and then I wouldn't be able to breathe because I'm like hotboxing myself under. And then I'm like,
you're dying.
Okay, no, I got it. Okay, and then go back under. I'd be making deals with the devil to not be murdered.
Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me.
Yeah. And then I'd be a teenager and I'd get in a fight with my parents and I'd be laying in bed, be like, please kill me. Please. Kill me. Yeah, like, I'm really over this. I'm like,
I also think I have a ghost in the basement, though. Her name is Heather, and we also like her because she treats us nicely.
As long as she's nice.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Anywho.
Let's hop into these stories. All right. So this story is titled, She Told Him That She Didn't Love Him Anymore, and They Still Went Through with the Wedding. Okay, wedding horror story. So in this relationship, the guy was significantly younger than the girl, like he was 23 or 24 when they met, and she was maybe 32 or 33. So quite different in my perspective. Mind you, I'm dating a man 16 years older than me. You're dating a man how much older than you?
Like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
However,
It is different when it's the guy and the girl. You're so right.
We need them to be in their 40s.
You're so right. So, okay. The guy was significantly younger than the girl. So, quite a bit different in age. So, quite different in my perspective, completely different lifestyles at that point. But she had a few serious relationships. That makes no sense to me either.
Maybe she had a few serious relationships and she was like, these haven't worked. I need to get married.
So, she's dating a younger man.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. I don't think he ever had a serious relationship. And so she, I think, was at that point in her life ready to get married. So they start dating and immediately they're obsessed with each other. They're infatuated, kind of like weird high school obsessed, which is just too much for me at this age. He proposes pretty quickly, like maybe a year into dating, and she's thrilled because she's in her early 30s and she wants kids and to get married. Honestly, I thought they were fine for each other. I really didn't know how deeply they felt, but they seemed fine together. We get to the wedding and everything looks good, and then all of a sudden, the bride is nowhere to be found or seen. We're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Dinner starts, and then speeches were supposed to happen, then the father-daughter dance, and none of that was going down because the bride was literally nowhere to be found. We found the groom, and he's telling us, oh, she's in the bathroom. She does not feel well. That would be devastating on your wedding day to be sick in the bathroom. The groom is like out and about, and we didn't see the bride at all the rest of the night, and we didn't think anything of it. We just thought she had a stomach bug or something. Come to find out, not even 6 months later, they're getting a divorce. I guess 2 weeks before their wedding, she told him that she didn't love him anymore, and they still ended up going through with the actual wedding. He was so young and naive and did not think that that would happen. She was so anxious on the wedding day that she was throwing up in the bathroom, which is why she missed pretty much the entirety of her day, and her poor parents still spent all of the money delaying their retirement plans to help pay for this wedding. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here.
I don't know what hurts more, the wedding aspect of it or the parents.
To me, it's the parents.
Retirement.
To me, it's the parents.
Like,
especially if as a bride, because, okay, 2 weeks before the wedding, yes, you might have this gut feeling like, I don't want to marry this person. However, that did not begin 2 weeks before you're getting married.
Yeah.
So you had to have known about this, or at least started to have these feelings at least a couple months beforehand.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to follow through and convince yourself and everybody else that you're going to get married and that it's the right choice. Meanwhile, you know deep down inside that it's not the right choice.
Yeah.
And the point of all of that to say, you're still making your parents pay for a wedding that you know will not be successful.
If it were you and
paying
you
for
would
it,
have
yes.
to, if you were paying for it and you're like, look, I'm going to do it, and you take that on the chest, okay, but to have your parents do for, and they're
that's honestly insane.
Funds, yeah, that's hard. And I think people get so, especially when it comes to a wedding or a relationship, you get so like, well, this is what it is.
Yeah.
No. Life is way too short.
It's not
Would
what
you
it is.
rather be? And guess what? People are like, I just don't want to be miserable. Either be miserable for the next year of your life or be miserable for
forever.
Life. Like, you pick one, because no matter what, you're gonna have to feel miserable at some point. And if it's the money thing, if you're like, well, I don't want to lose out on deposits, it's better to lose out on deposits
now,
than the entire thing. You probably could have saved 50% of what you spent,
and you're gonna have to pay for a divorce eventually anyway. So my perspective is exactly the same as yours. Life is way too short. And as somebody who has been married and divorced, I do completely understand being stuck in a mental space where you're like, I have to stick this out. I committed to this. I did this. And like, I was married for a lot longer than 6 months also. I was married for 6 years and
Yeah.
in a relationship for 10 years. But I did get into that flow where I kind of convinced myself, like, I can make this work. I can do this. I can make this work. And honestly, it wasn't my reality. And I prolonged my happiness. I
Oh yeah.
delayed my happiness by thinking that I was better off staying in something that was making me really unhappy when I, like you said, could have just been miserable for a year,
Yeah.
gotten through a breakup, gotten, through a divorce, and then on the other side, been okay.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what happened. I was, you know, pretty unwell. I mean, I think I was not as unwell as I thought I was going to be. Um, because I am strong minded, but it was still a hard thing to go through.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, I was like, oh, like life does go on.
Oh,
You
yeah.
still,
Time heals all
yes,
wounds.
time heals and
Most.
everything's okay.
Yeah. I think for me, I've never been married, but I was in a 6-year-long relationship, and I, especially going to put that out there, if this person ever sees this podcast, I do not think that person's a horrible person, and I do not think I'm a
Right.
horrible person. Together,
Yeah, it just
our
didn't
most
work.
horrible versions of ourselves. However, I got in this position where I was like, well, we are so financially independent or dependent on each
Yeah.
other. I don't think I could afford my own apartment. I don't think, like, all of these things. And we really started to hate each other. It got to a point I went and took out a $10,000 payday loan.
That's a little kooky.
It was the dumbest thing I've ever done, but I was so desperate to get out of that situation. And I was like, we had just signed a lease on a new apartment because I thought that, oh, if we move to this neighborhood in Minneapolis, we'll be happier, like all this shit. So I had to pay this early termination fee. Like all this shit went down and I was miserable. It was probably 2 years. It was not great, but and it also, my heart was broken because I still felt like I lost a limb almost.
Totally.
Like something I can live without, but it still felt like this person
a big loss.
like who had been my closest friend. It's a big loss, but after that I look at it and I go, this person is so much happier now. I'm so much happier. Like we can be the best versions of ourselves. Got that loan paid off. Like I cannot imagine if I was still in that relationship. For both of us. I feel like both of us would have fucking hated our lives.
I think one thing too that people don't talk about enough is grieving the life that you kind of envisioned with the person too. So like this person submitting this story, I can see how a 32, 33-year-old woman who's really wanting a family and to get married, who suddenly falls into this infatuation relationship with some, 24-year-old guy who's in a totally different phase of life, can like envision a life with that person and want that and really hope and dream for that. And that's something that you have to grieve too, not just the person, but also the life that you had planned with the person. Because I mean, I had to do that. I had envisioned the house that, my ex-husband and I would have, and the vacations we would go on with our kids, and the kids we would have, whose hair would they have, and all of this stuff that you really just kind of hype yourself up for and really look forward to in life, that suddenly is ripped out from underneath you and is gone. So I can see how somebody would potentially hold on to this. And if this bride was in the bathroom throwing up because she was so anxious, like I can feel for you on a certain level, but also like making your parents, go through with the decision of having to pay for a lot of that too out of their retirement fund is also, it can be a double-edged sword. On one half, I feel horrible for you. On the other half, I feel horrible for your parents for having to then look back 6 months later as you're getting a divorce and think, holy shit, now I'm out, even if it's just not just 10 grand, but even if it's 10 grand, like that's a lot of money to some people, and that's can be devastating.
Agreed. And I will say I've seen some situations. I've had in my career 3 people call off a wedding, mostly, actually, I think all due to infidelity. And I'm like, good on ya. Like, you'd rather do that than be like, let's try to work on it. Because if it's going to be a deal breaker, which most often it is, you gotta go. Like, don't go through with the wedding. And once I told the bride, because of course I wouldn't say names, but the groom is the one who was who had cheated, and the bride came to me and said, "Hey, here's a situation. I'm so, so sorry. Please let me know if we owe you any additional funds." And I said, "Well, is his credit card on file? Because I said I can run a couple payments if you want me to." And she thought that was a pretty good, whatever. And in those moments, it's also hard for me because like I want to not insert myself, but I want to be like, "Hey, bitch, you gonna be fine."
Yeah.
Not only are you gonna be fine, you're gonna be better than fine. Like
Yeah.
life is about to get so amazing for you. But then also I'm like, you are their wedding photographer. Well, not anymore, but like you're just a person. You don't know these people.
Yeah.
Like, don't insert yourself that much. But anyways.
Good story submission though. Interesting take. I think, yeah, those two should have called it quits not only 2 weeks beforehand when she told him she didn't love him, but months before when the feelings started to.
Especially like you said, if you're so sick to the point where you are throwing up on your wedding day because you're so anxious, like
that's a scary thought.
That ain't worth it.
And also, you guys, like, really quick, getting married to somebody does not mean that you have to be with them for the rest of your life. I understand that it is a commitment that at the time you are making in front of your dearest friends and family. However, if things do change down the road and you start to feel like you're in a position where you're not going to be set up for success for the rest of your life in terms of happiness, fulfillment, love, you do not need to stay in a relationship that you do not belong in. You can restart and reinvent yourself at any freaking age. And if somebody is not treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, you do not need to stay with that person. You are free to walk away.
Agreed.
No matter who judges you.
I say this all the time. I'm going to get it tattooed on my forehead. We die at the end of this.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that doesn't register to people. I feel like sometimes, especially with like the world and technology, like all this stuff that we have, we are always just never thinking about the fact that like this is not forever.
Right.
This is not like
it's temporary.
Every decision you make, all the stuff, like I don't want that to feel so overwhelming, but like the decisions you make, the people you decide to surround yourself with, all of these things are very important. This is the very short life that you're going to live. So it's just like, do what makes you happy.
Literally.
Don't be a dick. Be a good person. But like, if someone's being a dick to you, sayonara, sucker.
Yeah,
like,
bye. Peace out, Girl Scout.
Yeah.
I can find friends. I can find friends anywhere, guys.
Yeah.
But also no new friends, truthfully.
Technically, you and I are still new friends.
I don't consider it that way.
That's fair.
All of my friends who I've actually kept friends as friends in my adulthood, that I've made as friends in my adulthood that I've held on to, that's like past lives friends. They're not new friends. It's fine.
Well, I hope you hold on to me as a friend. Even if I cry on the drop of a hat. And as I'm like hitting the button for the elevator, I was like, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Don't cry.
I saw it. And then the fucking elevator opens on floor 2.
So we're just
we're like going up to floor 8 and the doors just open. Nobody's there. And Meg's like, I bet you were like, fuck, if somebody walks in, they're gonna see me crying and they're gonna think I probably like, assaulted you or something. Oh, and here we are.
Here we are. Still
literally an hour later. We're fine.
Okay, next story. Oh, before I get into this, really quick, I just want to shout out that we really ticked someone off with that Wild West story. We were blocked.
Oh my gosh, on every single page.
On everything. And here's my thing. They might be very nice people.
Yeah.
I think this decision is insane. I think that it just is a very combative way. I am willing to bet that they had someone try to either rip their business or brand off, their website, their images, something.
Yeah.
And they took it to the nth degree of something that I don't think is even legally possible.
Yeah.
Of the whole Wild West. And you know what's funny? I can't tell you how many people have followed my personal or like my Louis photography account that their name is like Wild or West or something.
Same.
And I'm like, okay. I was like, the right people are finding this.
And like I said in the last episode about this, they obviously are semi-good people because they rescue dogs. So I'll give them that. But I have like 5 pages linked to my personal Instagram, like our podcast page, my business page, my studio page, and then the podcast that I do with my mom. Yeah. They blocked every single one of my pages.
I also don't know what the purpose of that is. Like, you post something on the internet, someone disagrees with you, and you're like, fucking block. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, granted, I've blocked people before, but it's mostly because I don't want to see their shit, not because I'm mad about something that they said.
So anyway,
Anywho, okay, next one. Hot take. Most important wedding vendors. So this was submitted by someone, I don't know who, but submitted by one of you. I recently saw a thread that asked the question, besides your own service in the wedding industry, what is the next most important vendor a couple should hire for their wedding? A high majority, almost all of the photographers in the comments said a planner. Now, as a wedding photographer, I love planners. However, it breaks my heart that as photographers understand the value of capturing memories and moments and knowing that those mediums are everlasting, it hurts to see none of them say videographer. Photographers capture memories, and videographers are able to capture memories in an equal but different format than photographs, with movement, voices, ongoing emotions. So it was a shock to see photographers that understand the importance of capturing those, but not having another form of memory capturing. Thoughts?
My thought.
Here's what I'll say is I do agree. I think videographers are important. I
Yeah.
don't look at them and think like, oh, don't invest in a videographer. When Adam and I get married, we want video, but a very specific video, like a very
Different
nostalgic
kind,
film.
yeah.
But video nonetheless. I still find honestly the videographer that I want to hire would be more than photography.
Yeah.
Like that, so everyone's got their thing. However, I also think, just as a photographer, I would hope the planners book before me.
Yeah.
But if they're not, go book a planner.
Yep.
I need you to. Otherwise, I got to be the planner on the day of, and then I'm pissed. I'm not going to be pissed looking in your face, but driving home, I'm going to be irked and want to invoice you for all the services I provided that were not photography related. So I don't know. I get it, but
Here's my thing. The way that this question is posed, besides your own service in the wedding industry, what is the most important, vendor a couple should hire for their wedding? I think a planner is the most important vendor. So in terms of how the question is posed, I do think a planner is the most important vendor because I do think a planner will make your life 20 million times easier if you're hiring a good planner. And not just that, but they're going to help you in aspects that you didn't even know you needed help beyond somebody who's just taking photos on your wedding day or getting a video of your wedding day.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. I think that making this into a thing of like, why isn't anybody saying a videographer? Because when I'm ranking importance of a vendor on a wedding day for a couple, from a couple's perspective, am I ranking that a planner is going to be more helpful, or what was the actual question? Most important vendor that a couple should hire.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that if a couple has money set aside that they can either spend on a planner or a videographer, I'm going to say planner 9 times out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
And I love my videographer friends and I love the service. But when it comes to providing a service for a client, I'm not going to say like, yeah, fuck a planner because you don't need that.
You'd rather have photo and video capturing mayhem.
Yeah.
No, and honestly, most videographers out there, maybe a lot of videographers, I feel like want you to have a planner.
100%.
I know for me, I require a planner at this point because I need, and this is not, it might come off selfish, like I need a planner there. I need the couple to have a planner because I need the couple to be able to enjoy
and
their
relax
day.
and just have things taken care of.
Yeah, it is. I do understand there's differences in like full plan and design,
day of coordination.
Like day of coordination. I do understand that and budget, fully understand that. However, I have been at weddings with absolutely no one or just a venue coordinator, which is not the same. The venue coordinator is there to take care of the venue.
Yeah.
And I've had brides get up from the makeup chair. I counted 14 times and looking like she's going to cry because people keep asking her questions and needing to know this, that, and the other. And I just go, this is why you hire someone, because now hair and makeup's delayed. Photos are delayed.
Video's delayed.
Everyone's super stressed. And I just am like, this is not how you want to spend your wedding day. I would rather you get married in a field somewhere with like 5 people versus having a big wedding, not hiring the right people and being miserable the entire time.
And I think the question in and of itself is a weird question to pose. I mean, I think it is kind of helpful, but like it's not a one size fits all thing. So trying to like rank vendors in terms of importance
Yeah.
is a difficult thing to do because importance for me might be different of what's important to you or to the next person. Like somebody might not care about that kind of stuff, or somebody might not care about the quality of photos or the quality of videos or the stress on their wedding day. Like it's definitely a level of importance thing, and it's not a one size fits all. Like it can be whatever that person deems is important.
Yeah.
And the same goes for vendors. Like my opinion as a vendor might be different than your opinion as a vendor or somebody else's opinion as a vendor. So I think just taking these things that we see on social media and on the internet with a grain of salt is going to be really important.
Yeah.
And
agreed, knowing like everyone's going to have a different opinion on this, and then to be like, well, I'm really disappointed in people's opinions.
Right.
I mean,
but also understanding why photographers have that opinion is because of the experiences that we've gone through.
Yeah.
That is why that is being laid out there. And as a photographer submitting this, I think that that's pretty understandable.
Yeah.
Not to say that videography isn't important. It's very important, but at the end of the day, like all of these services that we provide as vendors are a luxury. They are not something that is just like, handed over to you. So you do have to pick and choose which one you want to prioritize.
There are people out there, and we've talked about this before, that there's a budget, or there's a photographer, there's a vendor for every budget. So you have people who will see someone's work on Instagram and say, that is what I want. I don't necessarily care about the cost unless it's like literally, $50,000. Like that is what I want. But then you have people who go like, I mean, yeah, photos, I want some nice photos, but like, I don't care that much about the editing of them or whatever. I'm okay paying, $2,000 for this wedding photographer. It's like, everybody's a little different.
Yep.
Don't be shocked by people's responses. But also, like you said, we love our videographer friends.
We love them.
I would pay more for the videographer I wanted than photo, not because I think they're better, but because that was the price they were asking for. And I'm like, well, okay,
if that's what you're asking for, then that's what I deem as important to me, and that's what I want, and that's what I'm prioritizing.
But if I had a couple come to me and say, should I hire that videographer or a planner? I can only choose one. I'd be like, bitch, go, please get a planner.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I can't shoot your wedding.
And like for me personally, when I get married, do I place importance on the video aspect? I've been married before. So like I have a different perspective, I think. And granted, I did get married in 2015 where things were very different and my wedding was
videographer.
Yes.
I need to see this.
Oh, it's so chuggy. Like my wedding was so chuggy and so.
Let's talk about that for a really quick second. I don't care whose wedding it is. In a couple years, it'll be chuggy. I need us to remember that. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on it.
I disagree.
Like, I really think no matter what design elements you have, they are going to be quote unquote out of style eventually.
I disagree.
Hit me with like, what do you think is a wedding that will never not like look
I can
out of
look
date?
back at like a cathedral wedding or something where
if you're
it's
like
very
a Kennedy,
but yeah, exactly.
But think about the reception.
That's my point. Exactly. If you're like a Kennedy and you have like a black and white checkered dance floor, that's been in here for ages, Very simple things that won't essentially 20 years down the road is not one of those things that you look back and is like a trend. For me, what I did was fucking wooden literal cuts of wood, and not to say that this is right or wrong, but for me now this is wrong. Like it's not right. Wooden stands for cupcakes, like 3-tiered wooden stands for cupcakes. Fuchsia bridesmaids dresses. Everybody had a braid in their hair. Like it was unwell. The colorful flip-flops that were our little party favors for everybody. Like it was not.
Here's the thing.
No.
I agree with you that, like, yes, let's say you have a $300,000 wedding, the tented, the very simple, chic everything that was in style in 1920s and is in style now.
Yeah.
Anything, though, that is trending, in my opinion,
will be
out of.
I agree.
Even bud vases. I heard this once and it changed my entire perspective. Because I think bud vases are like a pretty simple whatever. And someone said bud vases are just the new mason jar.
Oh shit. Mason jars. I had fucking mason jars everywhere.
So that's the thing is it's like, do what you want, do what you think, looks nice now, but just know, like in 10 years, yeah, you might not be your favorite design, but also that's why it is so importante to put more time and effort in like thought into how you're spending the day.
Yeah.
Design elements, absolutely great, especially if you have the funds for them, great. But how are you ensuring that you are enjoying the day and you're not just like only thinking about the
Focus on
design
that. Yeah. On
of
that.
this?
You're not only focused on the outcome of your wedding and what your wedding looks like, but you're actually focused on like what your life as a husband and wife or husband or wife and wife is going to look like.
Because that's going to last a lot longer.
And I think that's super important to note is that like, even if you had a chuggy wedding, but you're in a really happy marriage, who fucking cares?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and that's what I think about people who are like, obviously I'm divorced, so I can look back and be like, my wedding was so chuggy and hashtag regrets with some design choices that I made. But there are people who have been married for 20 years who look back and are like, oh my gosh, remember those big puffy sleeves that our bridesmaids wore, LOL, and they can laugh together about it because they're so fucking happy and have this beautiful life.
Exactly.
So it's really all about perspective. But yeah, we'll insert some photos of my wedding.
I was going to say, now
well.
I feel like I'm also going to call my mom and be like, hey, can you just like do me a favor and send me some of your wedding photos? Because I'd really like to enter that. Because
you will die at my wedding gallery. The photographer did a great job. Very natural, true to life color photo. She did great. And back in 2015, like we were paying her, honey. Like we were paying her good.
Can I ask what you paid in 2015 for wedding photographer?
I think we paid her like $3,500 or $3,600.
You paid her good, yeah. For
2015,
10 years ago.
For I think it was like an 8-hour wedding day, no engagement session.
Get it.
And I think we had to pay her travel because we got married in like near Brainerd.
I should ask my parents what they paid in like 1995. Mind you, and I love them and they're together now.
Yeah.
But my parents had a big ass wedding and then got divorced a couple years later. Now they're back together, which is great. So like you said,
we had a big ass wedding too.
It's one of those things where it's like a huge wedding doesn't necessarily make the marriage.
It doesn't make a happy couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely just depends, and you just have to be mindful of that. And like at the end of the day, like you said, do what you want to do. If you love it now, cool, amazing. Like fucking do it. If you're more focused on having a happy marriage 10 years down the road, who cares about your design choices for your wedding day?
Yeah.
Literally, no, like who cares? It's fine.
Oh, wait, can I say one thing though before we close out the show? Because this has been on my fucking mind. Speaking of design elements of a wedding, and I just saw someone post about this, and again, this is Nikki's gonna say like not one size fits all, but the post where it's just like wedding guests or like it's a wedding guest and it's a shot of just their like designer bag, and I go, well, that's pretty. It's aesthetic.
Yeah.
But like, where does the buck stop on like? Did the couple want that photo? I think about that and I think about these high-end galleries that are filled with elements of like design or like taking pictures of really hot guests. Sometimes I've had second photographers where I look at their SD cards and there's so many photos of the same guest because they're clearly the best looking person at this wedding. And I'm like, why are we taking photos of this? And I just wonder like, when you're posting it on social media because it's aesthetic, what does the couple's gallery really look like? I'm curious. Like, is it so many things where it's like not the couple, it's not even the person's face. It's just like their, different guests' feet because they had designer shoes and their bags and their designer and all that stuff. And I go, are these in the gallery as well? Does the couple want these? Is this more, it has me thinking, like, is this more about the photographer or is this more about the couple and what they're wanting?
I have such an interesting opinion.
Hit me.
It's probably not even that interesting. But my thought is, if the couple is looking at this photographer's social media and that's what they're seeing, then that's obviously what they want.
That's fair.
So at the end of the day, like some people...
I've just seen such a surge of it.
I don't know.
I'm so interested in what's mulling in that brain
I'm going to have to talk to you about it offline. I can't share it on the pod, but...
Okay, that's fair. That's okay.
Yeah, I have opinions
pinning.
currently. But in terms of that, like I'm my thought is if somebody's seeing that on a feed or
Yeah.
something, or if it's all over their website, like that they're shooting more like Vogue style or magazine, like
Yeah.
then that's probably what the couple wants. And if that's what you
True.
want, then you do what you want, boo boo. But at the end of the day, when you look back, are you gonna have those, candid moments that maybe photographers like you and I capture, and maybe they don't want that. Maybe they don't give a
they're
fuck.
like, no, I really love to see like these designs.
Yeah, and we want to blow these up and have it look like it was from a magazine and have it be in our house. Then that's cool. That's you. That's your style.
Well, and it's such a line that I ride. Nikki and I, by the way, are heading to Austin, Texas in May, and our couple, their rehearsal dinner is like Western themed. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I just started thinking.
I'm so excited
but
for that.
I didn't start thinking about like, ooh, I can't wait to get like pictures of people's like cowboy boots, like very chic outfits. I started thinking about my couple and like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be such a vibe and like some fun flash photos and like whatever. And yeah, again, there's no right or wrong. I've just been thinking about it a lot because it's been on my social media
a lot.
all like so much, just pictures of hot guests.
Yeah.
And I'm like, also, so if you're not hot,
you don't get your picture taken.
You don't get your picture taken?
Which honestly, really random take.
Yeah.
But my friend got married in 2019 and she honestly started to feel bad because she was like, her wedding photographer, she was like, all I see on her feed of her posting is of like very thin, like, very specific looking women and brides. And she's like, I don't think she even posted me once, which is fine. Like, I don't know if you have a specific take on that, but it started to get to her head where she was like, is something wrong with me and my wedding that she did not like or vibe with? I don't know.
I absolutely have a take on that.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Again, it's a line that you tread. I'm going to be hella honest right now.
Please.
I don't care what you look like. It's your wedding day. Yeah. I don't care if you weigh 5 pounds, 500 pounds. I don't care about any of that. What I do care about, what I'm posting on my feed, is the aesthetic of the day. However, I don't mean like, oh, your wedding's not good enough.
Yeah.
But if your colors, not to call you out right now, but if your colors are bright red is not my vibe.
Yeah.
It's just not. So like if your florals were all deep red, hot pink, whatever, awesome. Do you, boo-boo. I don't think I'm going to put that on my feed, though, just because it's going to be, like, a little jarring on the feed.
And not only that, but also you don't want to attract other couples who are like, oh, Meg loves this. Like, this is what she gravitates toward.
Exactly. So that is the hard thing that I go to. However, I've had brides myself that, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I was, like, 250 pounds at my heaviest, and I just was like, I don't care what you look like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. You are hot. Like, it's your wedding day. We are all our own worst critics, and we never give ourselves enough grace, especially when it comes to your wedding. Like, you are so good looking, you have no idea. And 20, 30 years from now, you're going to look back at these wedding photos and be like, God, I was so hot. Why didn't I give myself a break? So it's not about that on the feed. However, there are photographers out there who do not post people that are not, like, exceedingly gorgeous, and that does drive me nuts. And I've heard of photographers kind of getting called out by brides about that. And when I do look at their feed, I'm like, yeah, number one, it's filled with a ton of styled shoot models, which whatever. But if it's that, and then the only weddings that you're posting, you work 40 a year, but only 5 of them were relatively like very, very good looking people. And those are the only weddings that you're posting.
Yeah. And
you're posting them over and over and over again, but not your other real life couples.
Something's up.
I'm like, hey, you know, and especially the other thing I'm going to call out is the diversity of it. Like, this is not just like a, hey, do you think you're hot or not, but diverse. Now, in Minnesota, I have to be honest, do I get the most diverse clientele all the time? No, I really don't. But that doesn't mean, number one, that I wouldn't welcome that freely. But it's just like, if you, as a white lady, I'm going to say this, if you are only posting hot white ladies to your feed, even though you are working other weddings for amazing couples whose aesthetics you did like, it's just, it doesn't feel good.
Doesn't look good.
When you get called out on it, you kind of got to be like, you got to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. This is not a good representation of the world, of my work. Like, I'm all about posting and attracting what you want, but if it just sounds dumb to be like, well, I'm only attracting hot white people. Like, what?
Hot blondes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, as a hot blonde, no, I'm just totally kidding. That's the last thing I think about myself.
Be kinder to yourself. God.
I know.
Come on.
Anyways, okay. Good little nuggets we had there at the end. Hopefully they don't get us in trouble.
Good way for us to puke and rally.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining Cocktail Hour. Don't forget to subscribe, review the pod wherever you listen.
And follow along with us on Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast. And make sure you submit your stories there. The link is in our bio and everything is anonymous.
You know we are supportive girlies. I don't know what the hell we talked about on this pod.
I don't either.
But I'll listen to it back. If we talked about anybody, we'll link it in the show notes. So make sure to go check those guys out. Other than that, bye.
Bye.